prankster who was able to convince Anthony Scaramucci that he was emailing with Reince Priebus was also able to convince him that he was John Huntsman, the newly named ambassador to Russia. Now, fake Huntsman asks in an apparent reference to both Reince Priebus and Steve Bannon, whose head should roll first? Maybe I can help things along somewhat. The real Scaramucci wrote back, both of them. Now, while toying with the mooch may have been mostly harmless, the prankster was also able to convince Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert, who is in charge of overseeing cybersecurity, to voluntarily offer up his own personal email address to a person he thought was the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, inviting him to a fancy dinner. Fake Kushner writing, "Tom, we are arranging a bit of a soiree towards the end of August. I promise food of at least comparable quality to that which we ate in Iraq. Should be a great evening." The real Bossert wrote back, "Thanks, Jared. With a promise like that, I can't refuse. Also, if you ever need it, my personal email is redacted." The prankster, known as @SimonReborn, after posting many emails on Twitter, posted this message: "White House FYI, I won't be pranking you any longer. Point made. I am just a dude with an iPhone. You need to tighten up IT policy. Love XX." Joining me now, Christina Greer, political scientist, associate professor at Fordham University.
Sigh.
Well, here's the thing that I find amazing about this. Just remember that the Trump campaign managed to make a central issue before the Republic in the last campaign. Email security practices.
33,000 emails. If she can't protect her email server, how can she protect the country? And now that, we know the president still uses his regular phone and you can just reach him on his number.
Possibly in contravention of federal law, we should say. Yeah.
Indeed. And it's not just one person who's pranked. We have high-level people who have security clearance who are just emailing and talking about, right now, in this particular case, it wasn't incredibly sensitive. We're talking about soirees and, just kind of inside baseball, if you will. But this is a fundamental crisis, and it shows that not only is this president unqualified and unprepared and unorganized and disorganized as well, as are the people around him. And so if we're not worried about this, they're trying to make Russia kind of nothing. They're trying to say, oh, this isn't the same as Hillary bleaching her server.
Right.
Well, yeah, because we have elections coming up next year.
Right. And
more elections, God willing, for the Republic in 2020.
But we also have, there's two things I thought about. One was, this is a prankster, right? But the other thing is, what if they were just batting around policy, or the president says, if you email someone and say, the president says it's a go on North Korea. There's a reason that you want to make sure that you know who you're talking to.
With this president who's so erratic and who does not read, right? We know that if someone says, "Oh yeah, he's all in," let's just
on X policy,
whatever, and then everyone's
plausible.
Like, okay, because we know that he doesn't follow any playbook. He goes by whatever the shiniest toy is in front of his face or the last story that he heard. And so I think that is what's really dangerous, because we're not just talking about domestic policy, which he's all over the place and sort of not really successful in certain ways, but international policy. Our enemies are watching all of this, and they're seeing that when the leader of a free nation does not have control of his camp or his own self, then that is a time where we as citizens are incredibly weak in the eyes of others.
This was the thing I thought when I read that, was like, wow, if you just jammed a crowbar in there on some major issue of international affairs, people would have plausibly gone with it. The other thing that I keep thinking about, I sort of obsess over this, is, there's always something sort of prurient and fun about reading someone else's email. Just even now, it's like you get a kick out of it. And that powered a lot of the campaign, right? We were constantly reading emails posted by WikiLeaks that were criminally obtained by a foreign adversary. The question I have is, we've only seen one Trump email, and it was comically incriminating. And watching what they're willing to put in email here, who knows what's in email?
Well, I think,
who knows what they've put in email?
Who knows, because they clearly are not, they don't understand.
They're not careful.
They don't understand the job. And this has always been my concern, when you have not just the president, but the people that he surrounded himself with. So many of them fundamentally do not understand American government. They don't understand separation of powers. They don't understand checks and balances.
Haven't been in it, haven't been around it.
And they've never been public servants either, so there's also a lack of respect for it. And so when we are, seeing these titillating emails, it's like, this is why he's concerned about Mueller. This is why he fired Comey, because we don't know what he's been, sort of loose lips sink ships. And we know that this particular president has zero discipline when it comes to speaking. So we can only imagine that he and his ilk have pretty low levels of discipline when it comes to writing things down as well.
I've encountered people in my professional life who basically are never put anything in email. You'll email them, they'll pick up the phone and call you. Right. And you're like, okay, I see you. I see you. You're being very careful here.
If you ever need to discuss something, I will tell you.
That does not seem to be the MO of these folks, which really makes you wonder what's in there. Christina Greer, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming.